The sky above Earth was unusually clear that evening, but millions of eyes were fixed on the skies, not for stars or satellites, but for something far more ominous, an immense shadow slowly blocking the horizon, the arrival of the Empire's fleet. The Galactic Empire, a name that had once seemed like a distant legend or a warning in history books, had finally made its move, and now their message was clear. Earth must submit, or face complete destruction. Inside the Global Command Center, the air was thick with tension as leaders from every nation gathered, their faces pale, voices low and shaky. On massive screens, the message repeated again and again: submit to the Empire's rule, integrate your world into the order, or be erased. The ultimatum was simple, brutal, and left no room for negotiation. Scientists whispered among themselves. About the odds, military commanders debated strategies that felt hopeless against the Empire's technology, and citizens waited with bated breath, wondering if this was truly the end of their world. Yet in the depths of despair, something unexpected began to stir, a quiet but fierce defiance born from the very heart of humanity. In secret bunkers and hidden labs, teams worked feverishly to prepare a weapon unlike any other, something that could stand a chance against the Empire's overwhelming power. The plan was risky, barely tested, and required perfect timing, but the people involved knew that failure meant annihilation, while success meant hope. As night deepened, the Empire's fleet edged closer, massive warships that blot out the stars, engines humming with cold, merciless precision. Across the world, broadcast signals went down, replaced by a single defiant broadcast, from a human voice echoing across all channels. We will not bow. We are Earth. We answer not with surrender, but with fire. The world held its breath, as Earth's space forces scrambled to position themselves, launching fighter ships and mobilizing defenses. Still, the Empire's shadow grew larger, their message repeated one last time, now sounding almost desperate: submission or extinction. But humanity, for the first time in ages, stood together with fierce determination, united not by fear, but by the will to fight for their freedom. And as the first starship broke through Earth's atmosphere, the secret weapon was ready, its engines humming, its power building. The countdown had begun, not to surrender but to strike back. The Empire had demanded submission, but Earth was about to answer with a fire that would change the fate of the galaxy forever. The silence of space was shattered as Earth's secret weapon, a gleaming energy cannon unlike anything the galaxy had seen before, roared to life, sending a brilliant beam streaking through the void toward the Empire's largest warship. The blast struck with deadly precision, causing the massive ship to shudder and flare, its systems flickering as alarms blared across the Empire's fleet. This first victory was a spark, a small but powerful proof that Earth's defiance was no empty threat. Behind the scenes, teams of pilots, engineers, and hackers worked around the clock, pushing themselves past exhaustion to keep the momentum alive. They knew the Empire's forces were vast and ruthless, but the humans' unpredictable tactics and their fierce will to protect their home made them dangerous. Using nimble fighters built in secret shipyards, Earth's pilots executed hit-and-run attacks on Imperial supply lines, damaging fuel ships and supply convoys, forcing the Empire to slow down and rethink their advance. Meanwhile, on Earth's surface, underground labs hummed with activity as scientists worked to crack the Empire's codes, trying to turn the enemy's own technology against them. It was a race against time, and every moment brought new challenges. Imperial drones buzzing overhead, new weapons that tested human defenses, and propaganda broadcasts aiming to break the spirit of Earth's people. But the humans held fast, their unity growing stronger as stories of bravery and clever victories spread quickly. Young pilots learned to outmaneuver ships twice their size, engineers invented new shields and weapons from scavenged parts, and hackers planted confusion deep in the Empire's communications. Even ordinary citizens played a part, sharing resources, fixing machines, and holding the line against chaos. The Empire, once confident of an easy conquest, now found itself caught off guard, its commanders frustrated by the stubborn resistance. Repeatedly, they sent stronger reinforcements, larger ships, and deadlier weapons. But every time Earth's defenders adapted, surprising the enemy with their creativity and courage. One night, a daring raid led by a fearless pilot managed to sneak aboard an Imperial cruiser, planting explosives that crippled the ship's engines and sent it spiraling into the darkness of space. The victory was celebrated worldwide, a beacon of hope in a dark time. Yet the cost was heavy. Many brave souls were lost, and the wounds of war began to show on Earth's cities and fields. Still, no one spoke of surrender, only of perseverance, and the belief that even the smallest spark could ignite a flame strong enough to burn down an empire. And as the empire scrambled to regain control, Earth's people prepared for the next wave, knowing the fight had only just begun. The stars above flickered with distant fire, and humanity's answer to the empire echoed across the galaxy. Resistance was alive, and it burned brighter than ever. The battle for survival had moved beyond Earth's blue skies and shattered cities, now raging deep in the cold and silent void of space, where fire and metal clashed under distant stars. The Empire's massive warships, gleaming with deadly weapons and shields stronger than anything humanity had seen before, carved terrifying paths across the darkness, their engines humming like distant thunder. But Earth's fleet, though smaller and less powerful, fought with a ferocity born of desperation and hope, using every ounce of skill and cunning to strike where the Empire least expected. Human pilots had become masters of guerrilla warfare, weaving their sleek fighters through asteroid fields and space debris to launch surprise attacks, firing bursts of plasma and missiles before vanishing like ghosts. Every encounter was a gamble, a swift hit and run, or a desperate dogfight where one mistake meant death. Amid the chaos, the crew aboard the Phoenix, Earth's flagship, worked like a well-oiled machine, their faces lit by flickering consoles and the red glow of warning lights. Captain Amina Reyes stared at the holographic display, watching enemy ships maneuver in complex patterns, anticipating their moves based on countless hours of training and battle experience. Beside her, Lieutenant Chen furiously typed commands to launch drones that swarmed the enemy's vulnerable flanks, distracting their weapons and allowing the human fighters to close in. Below decks, engineers scrambled to repair damaged systems, their hands steady despite the constant threat of explosions and hull breaches. Meanwhile, scientists monitored the enemy's communication signals, trying to crack their codes and learn the Empire's next moves. Hours turned into days as the battle stretched on, space itself becoming a burning arena where survival depended on quick thinking and courage. One unexpected breakthrough came when a hacker named Lila managed to infiltrate the Empire's data streams, uncovering a secret transmission that revealed the location of an Imperial command station. It was a chance to strike a heavy blow, but also a deadly trap. The Phoenix was ordered to lead a daring assault, risking everything for the chance to cripple the Empire's control over the sector. As the fleet approached the command station, a massive fortress orbiting a shattered moon, the tension was unbearable. Fighters darted ahead, laser beams and missiles lighting up the void as explosions rocked the enemy's defenses. The battle was brutal. Shields flickered, engines faltered, and ships collided in a deadly dance. Amid the chaos, Captain Reyes led a small strike team inside the station's core, fighting through corridors filled with strange machines and cold silence. They planted charges and downloaded vital data, but the station's self-destruct sequence activated, forcing a desperate escape. Just as they blasted out of the fortress, a massive explosion rocked the moon's orbit, sending debris raining down on nearby ships. The victory was costly, many were lost, and the Phoenix itself was badly damaged, limping back to Earth's orbit for repairs. But the data they recovered was priceless, revealing new weaknesses in the Empire's fleet and secrets about their weapons. Back on Earth, this sparked a new wave of hope and innovation. Scientists and engineers worked around the clock, using the stolen technology to improve their defenses and develop countermeasures. At the same time, stories of heroism and sacrifice spread across the globe, inspiring ordinary people to do their part, building weapons, supporting the military, and standing united against the Empire's threats. However, the Empire was far from defeated. Furious at the loss, its commanders launched a series of brutal counterattacks, targeting supply routes and Earth's space stations with overwhelming force. The battles grew fiercer and more dangerous, testing humanity's limits. Yet, even in the darkest moments, humanity found ways to fight back, using clever traps, unpredictable tactics, and sheer willpower. As flames burned in the void, both sides learned the high cost of war. The Empire began to doubt its once unstoppable power, while humans saw their potential growing beyond what anyone had imagined. With every skirmish and every loss, the fight became more than survival. It became a battle for the soul of the galaxy. And through it all, Captain Reyes and her crew vowed they would never give up, because as long as a single spark of resistance burned in the stars, the Empire's darkness would never fully win. The war had reached a terrifying new stage, one where the enemy was no longer just a distant fleet in space, but a shadow looming over every city and village on Earth, and the heart of the storm was beating with brutal intensity. The Empire had begun its fierce counterattack, pouring overwhelming firepower onto Earth's surface, targeting vital cities, energy plants, and military bases with relentless precision. From orbit, massive Imperial cruisers unleashed waves of missiles and plasma storms that tore through Earth's defenses, lighting up the skies like deadly fireworks. People below felt the ground shake with every impact, watching in horror as buildings crumbled and fires spread, turning familiar places into ruins. But humanity's spirit refused to break. Engineers, scientists, and everyday citizens worked together in underground bunkers and hidden factories, quickly transforming old factories into workshops that produced new weapons, shields, and defensive drones. Schoolyards became training grounds, and homes were fortified with hastily built barricades and energy barriers. Soldiers on the front lines adapted their tactics to fight in a world where the sky itself was a battlefield, learning to use the city ruins to their advantage, setting traps and ambushes against the Empire's armored units. In the command center deep beneath what was once the capital city, General Marcus stood before a giant map showing the spread of the Empire's assault. His eyes sharp and his jaw set in determination. Every day brought new reports of attacks, resistance, and sacrifice, but also breakthroughs. Amid the chaos, a young prodigy named Alara had developed a new AI system designed to predict the Empire's movements and help coordinate Earth's scattered defenses. The AI, named Sentinel, could analyze thousands of data points in seconds, guiding soldiers to where they were most needed and warning of incoming attacks before they began. With Sentinel's help, Earth's forces began to turn the tide in localized battles, holding key positions that the Empire expected to fall. Civilians rallied around their defenders, volunteering to repair damage, deliver supplies, and keep morale high even as the sky burned above them. Radio broadcasts, once filled with despair, now carried messages of hope and courage, stories of heroism that inspired others to stand firm. Yet, the cost of war was heavy and visible. Cities bore the scars of bombardment, families mourned lost loved ones, and the constant sound of alarms and distant explosions kept everyone on edge. The Empire's attacks were designed not only to destroy but to crush the human will, to turn resistance into hopelessness. But humanity's heart beat stronger in the storm. One evening, as a fierce firestorm lit the horizon, Alara worked alongside a team of engineers in a dimly lit bunker, their faces tense but focused. They were finalizing upgrades to Sentinel, hoping to give Earth's forces the edge they desperately needed. Outside, the ground trembled as another wave of Imperial ships unleashed a barrage, but inside, hope was being built bite by bite. Elsewhere, Captain Amina Reyes prepared her crew for a critical mission. A strike deep into the Empire's occupied zone to destroy a key weapons factory that fueled the relentless bombardment. The mission was dangerous, with heavy patrols and unknown traps, but success could save thousands of lives. As the Phoenix stealthily approached the target under the cover of darkness, tension filled the ship's corridors. Each crew member knew what was at stake. The attack was precise and swift. Fighters darted through enemy defenses, explosions lit up the night, and alarms blared as the factory was reduced to rubble. But the Phoenix was spotted during the retreat, forcing a desperate escape through A storm of enemy fire. Damage rocked the ship and several crew members were injured, but the mission had succeeded, cutting a vital supply line to the Empire's forces. Back on Earth, the people cheered at the news, their hope renewed despite the dangers. Yet the storm was far from over. The Empire, enraged by these losses, retaliated with even greater force, targeting hospitals, power grids, and communication hubs, aiming to cripple Earth's ability to resist. Darkness fell over large regions, and chaos threatened to unravel the fragile order. In this dark hour, communities banded together like never before. Neighbors shared food, protected each other, and kept watch through endless nights. Makeshift. Radio networks connected isolated pockets of resistance, guided by Sentinel's data and the bravery of countless volunteers. As Earth's defenders faced the storm, they understood this was more than a battle for survival. It was a test of what it meant to be human. In the face of destruction, they found strength in unity, in hope, and in the unyielding refusal to be broken. The storm raged on, but within its heart burned a light, a promise that humanity would endure, and one day the skies would clear again. The galaxy was changing faster than anyone could have predicted, and the chains of oppression, forged by the Empire, were beginning to crack under the weight of a rising tide of rebellion. After the brutal storms that had battered Earth, a new fire burned, not just on their home planet, but across countless worlds that had lived under the Empire's shadow for centuries. The secret data stolen by Earth's fighters revealed weaknesses in the Empire's control systems, and these secrets spread like wildfire to distant colonies and enslaved planets, igniting hopes long thought lost. On these worlds, whispered meetings turned into open defiance as once silent populations rose up, inspired by Earth's courage and resilience. Ships bearing the flags of many races joined Earth's fleet, small at first but growing rapidly into a coalition determined to end the Empire's reign. Earth's leaders, realizing the opportunity before them, sent envoys to unite these fractured rebellions into a single force, bound by the shared goal of freedom. As alliances formed, the Empire struggled to respond. Its once invincible fleets were now stretched thin, fighting on many fronts against foes they had long underestimated. Yet, the fight was far from over. The Empire's generals unleashed brutal tactics, aiming to crush the uprising before it could gain full strength, sending waves of troops to retake lost worlds and punishing those who dared resist with merciless force. But humanity and its allies had learned the value of unity, strategy, and surprise. Using hit-and-run attacks, coordinated strikes, and the AI Sentinel's intelligence, the coalition disrupted supply lines, sabotaged weapons factories, and liberated key outposts one by one. Among the new leaders emerging from this chaos was Commander Tarek, a former slave from a desert world, whose fierce determination and tactical brilliance turned his small band of freedom fighters into a formidable force. His victories inspired countless others to join the cause, swelling the ranks of the rebellion with warriors from every corner of the galaxy. Meanwhile, Earth rebuilt from the ashes, its cities rising stronger and its people more determined. The Phoenix, repaired and upgraded with new technology shared by allies, became a symbol of hope and resistance, its crew leading daring missions deep into Imperial space. The battles were fierce and costly, with each victory won through courage and sacrifice. Yet with every step forward, the chains of the Empire grew weaker. A turning point came when a coordinated strike destroyed a massive Imperial fortress known as the Iron Bastion, a stronghold that had been the symbol of the Empire's cruel power in this region of space. The fall of the Bastion sent shockwaves through the Empire's leadership, shaking their confidence and emboldening the rebels. As the coalition pressed its advantage, Earth's diplomats worked tirelessly to build trust among the diverse worlds now united against a common enemy. Old rivalries and fears threatened to pull them apart, but the vision of a free galaxy held them together. At the heart of this new alliance was the promise that no single empire or race would dominate, but that all would share in the future they fought to create. Yet, just as hope seemed within reach, the Empire revealed its deadliest secret, a weapon capable of annihilating entire planets in a single strike. The revelation sent a chill through the coalition's ranks, threatening to undo all the progress made. Earth's leaders faced their greatest test, how to stop a force so powerful without losing everything they had fought for. As preparations began for what could be the final battle, spies and saboteurs slipped through the shadows, and every decision was weighed against the risk of betrayal and disaster. The night before the Coalition's fleet was to launch its most daring attack yet, Captain Amina Reyes stood on the deck of the Phoenix, gazing at the stars that seemed both endless and full of danger. Around her, the crew moved with quiet determination, aware that what they did next might decide the fate of billions. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for the moment when the chains of oppression would finally be broken, or when the darkness would swallow them all. In the silence before the storm, one truth remained clear. Freedom was worth fighting for, no matter the cost, and humanity's fire had become the beacon that would lead the way. The first light of a new dawn crept slowly over the horizon of a war-torn world, casting long shadows across the battered landscapes where humanity and its allies had fought so fiercely for freedom. After years of relentless battle, sacrifice, and unyielding hope, the galaxy stood on the edge of a moment that would change everything forever. The Coalition fleet, now vast and diverse, gathered silently in the cold void, poised for what would be the final assault on the Empire's core stronghold, a massive fortress hidden deep within an asteroid belt, protected by layers of defense so powerful that many believed it was untouchable. Captain Amina Reyes, her face marked by fatigue but shining with fierce determination, stood on the bridge of the Phoenix, the ship that had carried her through so many desperate moments. Around her, the crew prepared silently, their minds focused on the battle to come, knowing that failure would mean the end of everything they held dear. The plan was bold, an all-out assault combining the firepower of the Coalition with a secret weapon developed in Earth's last hidden labs, a device capable of disrupting the Empire's energy shields long enough to break through the fortress's defenses. As the fleet advanced, the silence of space was shattered by the sudden roar of engines and weapons fire, an inferno erupting as the Empire's forces responded with fury. Explosions lit the void in bursts of light and fire, while fighter squadrons weaved through the chaos, trading laser blasts and missiles in deadly ballet. The battle stretched on, relentless and unforgiving, as the Coalition pushed closer to the fortress's heart. Within the asteroid fortress, Imperial commanders scrambled to hold their ground, but the human spirit proved stronger than their cold machinery. Captain Reyes led her strike team on a daring mission to infiltrate the fortress's core, dodging patrols and overcoming traps designed to kill without mercy. Each step forward was a test of courage and skill, as alarms blared and enemy soldiers closed in, but the crew pressed on, driven by the hope of freedom. Above them, the Coalition's secret weapon charged, its glow growing brighter with every passing second. Just as the fortress's defenses began to falter, a massive explosion rocked the structure, sending shockwaves through the asteroid belt. The secret weapon had fired, disabling the energy shields and opening a path for the Coalition fleet to storm the fortress. Ships poured in, overwhelming the Imperial forces with a fierce, united strike. On the ground, the strike team reached the control center, where they faced the Empire's final resistance. A cold, ruthless commander determined to see the Empire's rule endure, no matter the cost. The battle was fierce and personal, each side fighting with everything they had. When the dust settled, the strike team emerged victorious, and the fortress's systems fell silent. With the Empire's control shattered, the fortress became a symbol of the old regime's end. Across the galaxy, the news spread like wildfire, igniting celebrations in freed worlds and rekindling hope where it had almost died. As the sun rose, fully over the battered world below, people looked to the sky with new eyes, eyes that had seen darkness but now dared to dream of peace. Captain Reyes, standing on the Phoenix's bridge, allowed herself a moment of quiet relief, knowing the fight was not over, but that a new chapter had begun. The galaxy faced the daunting task of rebuilding, healing wounds, and forging a future where no empire could again claim dominion over others. Old enemies reached out for peace, and new leaders emerged with a vision of unity and shared purpose. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, not just with light but with the promise of freedom earned through fire and struggle. Humanity had answered the Empire's ultimatum with courage and strength, breaking chains that had bound them and lighting the way for all to follow. In that new dawn, the galaxy was no longer ruled by fear, but guided by hope. As a fragile but determined peace took root, the story of Earth and its people became a legend told across worlds, a reminder that even in the darkest times, the flame of resistance could never be extinguished, and that from the ashes of war, a new dawn would always rise.